So the topic of today's talk is advances in bioinformatics-based drug design. Normally, you heard the word computer-aided drug design, right? I have put deliberately bioinformatics-based drug design. Reason is simple. There is a continuous change. Bioinformatics is playing excellent role. Earlier, we thought this domain belongs to chemistry, basically, or computer-aided drug design. But nowadays, biomolecules are also playing the excellent role in the field of drug design. So I will go systematically. This is a just introductory slides. Maybe some of you students are new. They have no idea that how the drugs come into the existence. If we go to the history of the drugs come from the plant or natural products, basically. So most of the time that they are eating the different plants, and we observe that this is important for the treating the particular disease. So more number of drugs in initial phase they come from the plants. Okay, these are some examples of the plant-based drugs. So number of plant-based drugs are there. Then the next wave of drug design or drug discovery, maybe on the large scale, came from accidental observation. The penicillin is basically good example where they observed that something is secreted by the fungus that is killing the bacteria. So it means they are releasing certain chemicals, and these chemicals known as antibiotics. Okay, so after the antibiotics discovery started, and then they started from the soil or soil microorganism or maybe different places actually, just to find out that what type of chemicals are released by the microorganism to kill other microorganism basically. Because there is still the competition. It's not competition between the human and this microorganism, but there is a competition with each other also. So they also kill with each other. So antibiotics concept come from that point basically, that how one organism, one microorganism is releasing some chemicals which is killing the other microorganism, and particularly if it is pathogenic, then it becomes the antibiotics for us actually. So because it is helping us, right? Then after that, next step was basically scientists become more smart in the chemistry. Then what they did actually, they take the chemical formula and then they modify it. So drug become more effective. Sometimes let's say natural drug have some problem, maybe it's toxic, it's not basically orally deliverable, or maybe there's some other effect. So they chemically twist it. So that is called chemical modifications actually. So that in order to get the better property of drugs basically. So that was the concept of modifications. And further, there is a change actually. We, due to the advancement, crystallography, we came to know the structure of the receptors, means where the drug will bind, how it will be work basically. Based on that, they did the receptor-based drug design. So receptor-based drug design is nothing. This is a protein, this is a chemical molecule, and then it will fit here. If it will fit here, it will change the function of the protein. Okay, so this model is normally called protein docking. A small ligand protein docking concept. So here, a lot of people have worked, lot of work has been done. If you see carefully in immune system, most of the biointelligence they focus on this area actually, where they are doing the different simulations, modeling, and then docking. And based on the docking, they are basically screening the chemicals which can serve as a drug molecules. Okay, so this is another approach. Sometimes it's not possible to know the target. If target is known, then receptor-based drug design is the best. But unfortunately, all targets are not known. And even if target is known, its structure is not known. Basically, it's difficult to predict the structure actually. And so, in that case, this ligand-based concept is very popular. And in ligand-based drug design, you know the chemicals, you know their IC50 or maybe inhibition capability. Okay. So what you have to do based on the chemical, you have to find out the relation. This side we have the chemical 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This side we have the IC50 value, whatever is there, and then you have to find out the correlation. So you want to understand what is the chemical formula and what is the basically IC50 value. Here is a one term very popularly known in this field is called QSAR, quantity, structure, activity, relationship. Means you are seeing the chemical structure and you are making the relationship with its IC50 value. So basically association between the chemical structure and its inhibition capability. So you develop the models. Maybe you may apply different machine learning techniques or you may apply different equations. Okay, so that you develop a model. So when anybody give you the new molecule, you predict what will be the IC50 value of this new chemical. That's called ligand-based design, and it is very popular in the chemist because they can synthesize large number of molecules, but they don't know what will be its activity. So with QSAR, they first screen the most probable candidate and then they check experimentally. Because you will ask me the question, when ultimately we have to check experimentally why we are doing the bioinformatics. I will tell you the fact. In QSAR or other any computer business, you can millions of chemical you can screen within few hours actually. Okay, if you do the same thing with the experimental, it will take a lot of time, years of the time. Okay? So you save a lot of time. Instead of trying all chemicals, you only try the chemicals which have the high probability that they will be inhibitors. So in reality, we are predicting highly potential or highly probable chemical molecules which can serve as a drug to them. Okay? So that's a concept. So now question basically you will ask from me that why these are say bioinformatics based tools actually. Because let's say what is the advantage in using the this bioinformatics basically? First thing, biomolecule, so this part, detecting the molecular base of the disease. It's difficult to understand the molecular base or means the cause of the disease till you understand the biology. Where we need to predict the drug target, binding sites, as well as binding pockets on the proteins. So all sort of requirement is there. Here you need the bioinformatics tool. Because bioinformatics, if you see carefully, what we are doing, we are basically developing the tools to help the biologists to solve the biological problems basically. And one of them is basically classification of the proteins, annotation of the proteins, or annotation of the genes. Okay, or maybe in protein, you are telling this is a pocket where your drug can bind, or these are the binding sites. So a lot of work you can do with the help of bioinformatics. So this is the one part. Another part is once you know it, then you can design the rational drug design. Screening in the compound, you can do the modeling of large number of compounds, and then you can do the simulation. So a lot of work is there. So here there is a need of bioinformatics to develop it. So what is the advancement? Earlier the people are working without using the computer or using the bioinformatics. Nowadays, this is the advancement. Nowadays they are using number of tools for helping the chemist in designing the drugs. This is the one advancement. So let's say I will tell you my story actually. I am not a trained researcher actually. So what happened actually, I was doing a job. In the job was basically as an IT professional. IT professional means just maintaining institute computers, network and all sort of. So one day means then I feel little bored, though I had a good job, there is no problem actually. Everything fine. So I start to write the software for the biologists. So this way I come into the bioinformatics. So my goal from beginning is not to do the hi-fi science actually. I am not a hi-fi thinker or anything. I have a very simple thing in my mind. How to help the scientific community with using my skill. Okay. So in initial phase, I developed a lot of softwares for predicting protein structure or maybe vaccine candidates or related to the bioinformatics. What I realized actually after working few years, I realized that I'm working half of the story. I can only predict the drug target, but I'm not going further actually. So then in 2008, I decided to jump into the chemoinformatics or maybe say drug design actually. Before that, I have no story, no history that I have no knowledge actually about the drug discovery. What I realized actually after coming into the field, I realized this has been controlled by the commercials actually. They are selling the costly softwares, and drug discovery is a very costly affair actually. If you are, let's say, simple scientist, you want to work in the field of the chemoinformatics or other field, it's very difficult for you. You need some software actually. Most of us doing the drug discovery through the commercial softwares actually. And these commercial softwares are too costly actually. I'm not against the this commercial part of business basically. But I am against that they are not giving the codes. They are not telling what is going in the black box. Okay, so that was my major concern, and particularly countries like India or developing countries where it is difficult to afford these softwares. Though there is a problem, our scientist who is want to work in the drug discovery cannot compete with the researcher who is in USA or country where a lot of money is there. They can buy the commercial software, we cannot buy it. So question was basically how to help this community. That was my first challenge. So what we did actually, fortunately at the same time, CSR also started one project mission that is called Open Source for Drug Discovery. So I participated in that competition mission also. So what we did actually, let's say you have to understand that a number of students are here actually. You have to understand how I start the field actually from the scratch. I have no knowledge at all when I start this business. So first thing I did actually, I create a website. In this website, I compile all the resources which is required for drug design. And I give this title, this computational resources for drug discovery. That was my website created in 2008, and that was my first step to start the research. Because when my group will do this job, collecting, compiling the information related to discovery, then I will also learn with them. We will also learn that what type of tools are used normally, what is the problem people are facing, and will get the advantage. Whatever the tools are there, they will get from a single resource. So it's not a tough job at all, but useful job. Sometimes you have to remember one thing. Working hard is not the only way to work successful in the life. Be smart. Think up smart actually. You should to think that how useful it will be there. First thing you have to think when you are selecting any problem. Who is the user of this problem? Why I should develop? Who will use it? If there is no user, you calculate and do any calculations actually. Maybe you're a great scientist. Nobody care actually. So here, what we did, we collect and compile this information to the public. Idea was just to help the public. So this site was created, and what we realized that why we are not able to develop the free softwares. In bioinformatics, free softwares are very popular. Not from now, over the years actually. Even when I entered in bioinformatics, at that time also, number of free softwares are there. But in this drug design or chemistry, free softwares are very limited actually. Mostly it is dominated by commercial, and they don't want that anybody should enter in this field. So what we did actually in the next step, we start to develop tools actually. I'm not going with my all tools. There too many tools are there, and this is just one example. So this is a server for predicting inhibitors against the drug tolerant bacteria, basically, empty base. Okay. So what we did actually, you can see, you can submit your sequence here, and it will predict it. So it's a easy and it is as accurate as any method, any commercial method is there, because we publish it. Because that's our way of working. We do the work, research work, same time we develop the web server. We publish the research and make this web server open to the everybody actually, so that people can use it. So it's our purpose is not just to publish more and more paper. For each paper, there is a one web server actually. Because what I believe actually in Indian system, there was a lot of knowledge, traditional knowledge over the years, but we are so jealous, we don't want to share with it with anybody. We want to die with the knowledge, but we don't want to share with it. Or we share with the person where we have the personal interest, maybe my son, my daughter, or maybe my chela, or whatever is there actually. So that's a typical Indian problem. That's why we are not succeed actually. So young generation, I have the message: please be more generous actually. So whatever you are doing, share with your colleagues actually. It's simple things, but it's very important in the life. Please remember one thing: if you will help your colleagues, believe me, in the long term they will also help you. That's my theory actually. So just be generous, be big heart, and don't be jealous with each other. Actually, that's a major problem. We are not jealous with the other people in the world, but we are jealous with our just friend. Actually, that's a problem. So we have to think big actually, rather than the small. So competition. If you want to compete, compete. Compete with the Nobel Prize winners actually. Compete with some big scientists in the world. No problem. But if you are competing with your own colleague actually, so then you are not allowing to succeed. That's wrong. Anyway, so we developed these tools, and these tools are all available to the public. So simply, there's another tools actually for designing because one of the problem in drugs actually to find out the drug-like molecules, means whether it can serve as a drug or not. Though there is a Lipinski rule of 5 is there, but that's an old rule. It's not more no more valid actually, particularly in biomolecules. So what we did, we take the experimentally validated data as well as clinically approved drugs actually, and then we develop the method. So we demonstrated this is much better than the Lipinski rule and other rules. And here you can put your chemicals, and it can help you even design what type of analog will work as a drug molecule. So this way we have the number of things. This is for metabolizing, because one of the problem in drug design is it should be metabolized properly. If it is not metabolized, then it will be toxic. And there is a molecule in the liver which is called CY450, and its isoform, presence of the different isoform, are responsible for metabolizing the drugs. Am I right? So we develop the tools which can predict whether the particular isoform can metabolize or not. So in future, people can use it that look, this isoform is missing in this person, so these drugs should not be given because they become toxic actually. So the personalized toxicity can be predicted easily. Okay, so this is freely available. So after developing some tools, so we thought now we have the quite good number of tools, as well as the other groups are also contributing a lot. Because once you start, the other groups also start actually. Because this is a competition life, competitive life. So people also start in the open source. So we write a this review actually, open source software for designing the therapeutic molecules. So in this one, please note down it, or I will share my slides actually, because I believe I'm the strong believer of the open source actually. Even you can record it and you can share with the everybody actually. That's what I want. Okay, so this is the overview that what is the basically required to design a drug basically. Okay, and this is overflow, and these are the important points which is required for designing the drug. I'm not talking in the detail of each point too much actually, and whatever I'm talking about the small molecule based drugs. Okay, small molecule based drugs. Okay, so what we did actually, you can see the points. You can see what we have done, the source of molecules. So what we did, create a table, and we compile all the data all the URLs, links which provide information related to the molecules, because you want to know what type of molecules are already synthesized and what type of molecules are already used in the past. The number of databases is there, so we provide the link. Then next is basically molecular editors, because you have the chemical, then you want to edit it actually. So these are the different points which is very important in drug design. For each point, we provide the table, we compile the tools or databases related to them so that you can get all the information. So I have given the one just example that related to database and resources of chemical compounds. This is the table we create. Similarly, we create nearly 10, 12 tables actually, which provide all information. So idea here is it's not a big science. It's basically compilation of the data from the literature. You can do yourself also, but believe me, it takes a lot of time actually. So I have the manpower, I have my friends. So we compile it, we provide to the public so that they can use from a single point basis. Okay. So still there is some students or some researchers complain that they don't want to work on our servers because chemical is important thing and they don't want to share over the internet because there is chances that somebody can steal the information. So we develop a operating system that is called OSDD Linux, and that is also called customized operating system for drug discovery. What we did, we take a Linux type of system, we compile all the resources, source databases or tools which are freely available in this operating system and make it available to the public. So even in USB, you can boot from it and then you can use this operating system. So this is called customized operating system basically. And everything is free. The reason is very simple, that we want to help the public that they can use it. Now, next part, I'm talking to you about the advancement. Because so far I was talking about the traditional drugs, then computer help drugs, okay, what is small molecule based. Now I am talking today, that's a major topic for today, is basically biomolecules based drugs actually. Instead of small molecules, because as a biologist, you understand protein, nucleotide, DNA, or carbohydrate very well in comparison to understand the chemicals. Because qualification, you are biologist. So can you become a drug designing? Yes, you can do it. So important fact of drug discovery is the trend is changing worldwide. Worldwide trend is changing from small molecule to peptide. It means earlier most of the drugs are based on small molecules, small chemicals basically. Nowadays they are using the biomolecules, natural molecules, which are coming from the living organism basically. So we call the biomolecules. It's not practically possible for me to describe everything about biomolecules. I will focus only one biomolecule today, that is called protein or peptide. So peptide is nothing, if a protein is small, less than 50 amino acid, we call peptide basically. Okay, so they are the same thing. Right? So this is the trend. So if you are interested in drug design, you are biologist, you feel that you cannot do the chemistry, there is no need. You can go for the biomolecule based drug design. Particularly, I'm talking about the protein or peptide basically. So sometime I will call the peptide, sometime I will call the protein. Please bear with me. So now question you will ask from me, that what is the success rate? So success rate from phase 1 to phase 2, there is a 84% success of biologics basically, where in case of the small molecule, it's 63%. Same from phase 2 to phase 3. So everywhere, biologics or biomolecules based drugs have the upper hand over the small chemicals. I will tell you the trend that nowadays more biomolecule based drugs are approved by the FDA rather than the small molecule based drugs. Earlier, There was no concept of the biomolecule-based drug. So this is a new advancement in the field. Question is basically, some of you are interested in bioinformatics. Question is how we can contribute as a bioinformatician, how we can contribute in this area. And so this is a survey that a lot of market is there for this peptide-based drug. So today, my major focus will be on peptide or protein-based drugs or vaccines, actually. Okay. So if you are a biologist, you will agree with me from this slide that protein is everywhere. Protein are called the subset of living organisms. So most of the work in the living organism is done by the protein. So they are basically major role actually, whether it's basically immune system or maybe other part of the system. So I'm not going in the detail actually. That's not part of business. But I want to give you the picture that protein is the most important molecule in the living organism. Okay. Now, as I told you earlier, because this field is not started very long actually, it started recently. Okay. When we wish to start any new field, we have no idea. Please try to understand. If you see my background is quite different than what I'm doing over the years. Actually. By qualification, I'm MSc Physics actually. Then MTech in computer space. Okay. And then I joined as a IT head, IT department. So nothing to do with the biology, nothing to do with the chemistry. I'm completely new to all these fields. So when we are starting new field. So from where we should start actually? Because everything is new. So here, we want to start this new field. Then what we did actually, we created a database of all therapeutic peptides or proteins which have been approved by FDA. If you have no idea about FDA is an agency in US which is responsible for approving the drugs, whether the drug will go into the market or not. So that's a major agency. If it is not approved by FDA, then we don't believe on it. Okay. So this is a major agency. So what we did actually, we simply compile all this information and put on our website. That's the, I think, strength we have actually, our group. We have the strength to create database actually. That's our strength. So we create this database and this database is available from our website. So if you want to access, you can access. You will get that what type of drugs have been approved by FDA so far, what is their sequence. A lot of information you will get actually. So it's a big data. Okay. So this is a link you can connect. This is the just summary. It's complete information is there. I'm not going in the detail of each and everything. Now, you see carefully, all the peptide-based drugs or protein-based drugs can be grouped in the 4 categories. Group 1 is basically therapeutics with enzymatic or regulatory activity. Okay, so these are basically replacing a protein. Let's say your protein become defective. It's not doing the function. You can replace the protein or enzyme with a new protein, okay, which is more functional, which have the quality whatever you require with. Okay, so as well as some pathway is not working properly, you can augment by providing a better protein. Okay, sort of things actually. So this is a basically protein replacement type of work actually. Okay. Another is therapeutic with special targeting activity. This is another area where you can use the protein peptides to deliver the drugs actually. To deliver the drugs. That's a very important area because sometimes drug is not reaching on the right location or right target actually. So there is a peptide called self-penetrating peptide or some proteins are there which can take your drug to the right place. Or maybe let's say penetrate into the cell. Let's say maybe your drug is not going inside the cell actually. So how you will deliver? So there is a self-penetrating peptide. You attach your drug with the self-penetrating peptide. They will deliver the drug inside the cell. Or maybe let's say you have some disease related to the this brain-related disease. Then our blood-brain barrier will not allow most of the drug to enter into the brain. then you can take the peptide called blood-brain barrier blood-brain barrier penetrating peptide and attach your chemical, it will deliver. So you can use the protein and peptide to deliver the drugs actually. Okay. So this is the case you can use it. Group 3 is vaccines. Vaccines, protein and peptide are excellent tool actually. Everybody is using nowadays. Even the coronavirus, everybody is talking about the vaccine actually. We are talking that vaccine. But what is the concept of the vaccine actually? It's simply based on the protein or peptide. It's not a small molecule or chemicals basically. So we biologists should have the concept that we have a lot of power with us. Okay. Group 4 is basically diagnostic agents. Means you can use the protein or peptide as a biomarker. Sometimes what happens, in let's say some cancer patient is there, certain peptide and protein component also released in the blood actually. You can measure it. Sometimes it is released in the urine actually, some component. So these things can be used as a biomarker. This is important in the science. Science is not so wide actually. If you think carefully, I have classified all the protein and peptide based drugs in few 4-5 categories actually. This type of classification or structure view is important for you to understand the science actually. Science is not difficult at all. It's enjoyable. Frankly speaking, I came into the science not for money or anything, the job where research is not required actually. My whole life. I can survive, I can enjoy all the without doing it. But I came into the science and I enjoy it actually. I'm daily working. Are you not tired? I say, why? This is entertainment for me actually. Okay. Anyway, so these are the broad areas. So now, accordingly, I will give that what type of tools we have developed over the years. And I'm not only advertising our tools actually, because that's another part of business. Sometimes I consider this giving a lecture is advertisement to myself. I don't mind it actually. If I make the product, if I will not advertise it, who will use it actually? So advertisement is a most important part. Same is true for the science also actually. If you do some discovery and you are not advertising, it is not going to the right place, then it has a limited use actually. I don't mind it about it actually. Anyway, so I will talk about the different type of tools actually. Yeah. So first I will talk about the concept of the vaccine actually. So I will maintain the time of the lecture also, don't worry about it. But same time, I will go to the major concepts. First thing, you have to understand the concept of the drug and vaccine. Drug, let's say if you are got infected, for example, with any virus or maybe bacteria or anything actually, these are called pathogens actually. These are called pathogens. Basically, microbes which are infecting us is called pathogens. So if you are infected by some pathogen, so what you will do? You will be given a drug. What is drug? Maybe let's say antibiotics. For example, antibiotics. What antibiotics will do? Antibiotics will selectively kill the bacteria or virus responsible for the disease. So whenever you are ill, you have been given the drugs or you are given the aid from outside so that you can be cured. Got my point? So you are cured, that's called a drug. So drug is nothing, it's basically a small molecule given to you. Small molecules or big molecule, that's a different issue. Is given to recover from the disease because it is selectively killing the pathogens responsible for the disease, right? But the limitation of this part is drug part is basic. It only kill the bacteria at the time it may come again actually. Like normal flu, we are getting number of times actually, time to time. That's a limitation of the drug. So hello, every time your body body needs a help, right? So question is basically what is the alternate? I will tell you one thing. Drugs have been discovered recently. but human being is surviving over the years. Can't we survive without drugs? Yes, we can survive. We have the immune system which can learn anything. There is some noise is coming, lot of noise. So can we reduce that noise? Yes, that's fine. Just give me 2 minutes. I will take the. Just give me 2 minutes. I think there is some provision in WebEx that you can reduce that joining part. Click, click, click. I'm getting a lot of click, click. Okay. So in case of the vaccine, what is the vaccine? Vaccine is basically concept where we are training our immune system. So what happened? Let's say if you go to the history, a lot of people died due to this smallpox actually. Okay, but they observed one thing: once you got infected, whole life you are protected, right? It means what? Your immune system learn what type of enemy is there, and they generate the memory B cells and T cells. So whole life you are protected. That's the concept of the vaccine. But most of the traditional vaccines, concept is simple: take the virus or pathogen, means virus, bacteria, whatever is there, kill it and give to the body. Body will thought that enemy is there, and they will prepare the defense, memory B cells, T cells, and they will have the protection. Even the live bacteria will come, then they will protect. Okay. So now question is, what is the advancement? Advancement is now the type of vaccines we are changing. Instead of taking the whole pathogen, we are going towards the protein-based vaccines, or called antigen-based vaccines, or called recombinant vaccines. So that's nothing basically. You are taking the small part of the organism, that's protein or antigen, called antigen, is given as a vaccine. That will decrease the size of the some vaccines drastically. Okay. So here you have to go from whole pathogen which have lot of material, including 4,000 protein or something like that, and then you have to find out the single pathogen. Nowadays, people are going much advancement. Even the whole protein is not required. Whole protein may be something like say 200, 300 amino acids. That is not required. Even 9 amino acids is sufficient to activate or train your immune system or your memory cells actually, cells and T cells. Because the MSC molecule have the group of 9 residues, so 9 residues is sufficient to bind with the MSC code or HLA basically. HLA. So that's a basically change actually over the years. So question is how to develop the vaccines using the epitopes. Let's say I'm just giving the brief about the vaccines actually. Concept. Let's see it carefully. Just think about as a human. What will happen? Let's say these are the different type of pathogens we have. Maybe virus, maybe bacteria, or some anything. Right? The question is basically, can they enter into the body? No. There is one component called skin. Most of them will be stopped here. Right? Even some are able to penetrate. Then there is a biochemical barrier, phagocytes are there, and they will kill them actually. So here, the next component is innate immune system, which will recognize because they have the different type of proteins called toll-like receptors or PRRPs, protein pattern recognition receptors. They recognize the pathogens actually, PAMP actually, pathogen associated molecular. So they recognize it and they do the two jobs. One, they release the chemical and they kill it. And second thing, they give the signal to the body, look, there is an enemy there. So they provide a first line of defense. And finally, B cells and T cells come into the picture. So this is called the adaptive immune system. Adaptive immune system can learn anything, only it takes some time. If you can train it in advance, they can learn anything. They release the different type of antibodies as well as the memory cells so that they can fight with any type of. This is a concept. So the whole concept nowadays worldwide, the advancement is from whole organism to purified antigens to epitope. So minimization, micro minimization. That's a part because it give you only the useful molecule. You are not giving unnecessary. That's a trend actually. So I'm not going into detail because this detail will take too much time. But the concept you have to understand, as I told you beginning also, when you enter in a field, just try to understand what is the overall concept. Let's say these are the disease-causing agents. These are called disease-causing agents. It may be bacteria, fungus, parasite, okay, or viruses. Then next, what will happen? You have the two type of defense, major defense: innate immunity and mainly toll-like receptors. Okay, and other is basically specific defense, B cell epitope, T cell epitope. So you have to understand this type of chart. So when you are doing science, just structure your mind, structure the problem. Okay, that's most important. Now, this is an example that what type of tools are already available, and these are the tools developed by our group. There are a number of other tools which have been developed by other groups. Okay, so today I am just telling you my group's software, but you can use the other group softwares also. That's not a problem. So these are the different type of tools already available from our group: T cell epitope, B cell epitope. So these are the basically tools required to activate the different type of T cells. These are required to activate the different type of B cells, and these are basically vaccine adjuvants. This is also interesting part that sometimes even your drug is not working, but the adjuvants or salt, which we call salt actually, given with the drug works actually. So that's called vaccine adjuvants. So you can predict the peptide or protein-based vaccine candidate using these tools. Believe me, in this COVID time, all my tools are heavily used actually. All vaccine candidates tools are heavily used by the worldwide because everybody needs the vaccine. So you can use it. This is the concept I want to give about you. There are different type of, because everybody know about the COVID-19, so I'm not going into detail. This is the basically a chart we created what type of vaccines are in the market. Okay, means not in the market, but under the trial, under development basically. So these are some examples: DNA-based vaccines, RNA-based vaccines, viral vector-based vaccine, inactivated virus-based vaccines. So in brief, I will tell you, most of the cases, they are all recombinant vaccines, most of them. What they are doing, they are taking the spike protein of the coronavirus and giving to the body, and then your body system will generate the memory cells to fight against this spike protein, which is basically the surface of the coronavirus. And in future, when there is infection, you will get the defense. So this is the concept. So only minor differences are there. Here, we are giving it in the form of the virus. So virus is used as a drug delivery. Virus is used as a drug delivery. Here, what they did actually, they simply use the traditional technique, kill it and give to the body. So I'm not going into all detail, but what we observed recently in our recent paper, this figure is from our recent paper. And what we observed actually, there is a chances of some problems vaccines under the trials. What the problems possibly is there actually, because they may create the cytokine type of storm. So there is a number of things we have reported because this is our past experience also. In past also, against the SARS or MARS, vaccines have been developed, but they fail in the market actually due to their, not that they are not effective, but due to their side effects actually. That's a major concern with the more with the vaccine. So what we suggest actually in that case, that please focus on the bioinformatics tools. In that paper, we have suggested these are some of the bioinformatics tools. You should use it to design the vaccines. Now you will ask the question why you are not doing. Because we cannot do everything actually. We are the theoreticians, we are the persons who are working the computers. But we can give the suggestions based on the predictions actually. So we have published this paper and then we suggested that you have to do this type of work in order to reduce the toxicity from the vaccines. Okay. Now, I will cover some of the tools. So far, I talk about the vaccine. Now, I will talk about you drug delivery. That what type of tools is available and what type of tools we have developed. One of the tools database is available called self-penetrating peptides. What we did, we find out the self-penetrating peptide from the literature and we create a database. The database is available. And based on this database, we developed this tool for designing the self-penetrating peptide. So these self-penetrating peptide can be used to deliver the drug. In fact, we demonstrated that drug-resistant bacteria, when you give the drug, then it's not killing the bacteria. But when we give the drug with the peptide, it is killing the drug-resistant bacteria. And why? Because drug alone was not going inside the drug-resistant bacteria, due to the change in the membrane. But when we give the peptide with it enters into the cell and it kills the cell. So that's applications. So this is one of the tools you can use for designing the self-penetrating peptides. Okay, you may ask the question actually from biology point of view, how can I work here? I have no idea about it. Please try to understand. This is a very simple classification problem. If you have some knowledge about, let's say, machine learning techniques or any classification models, so one side we have a self-penetrating peptide, we have the another side non-self-penetrating. And then we simply develop the models. And then we put it here. So you put your sequence, it will predict whether it's self-penetrating or non-self-penetrating. Okay. So there is another class of peptides which we collected, very useful, is tumor-homing peptides. Tumor-homing peptides. What is the quality of these peptides? If you put in your body, it will travel till the tumor actually. It will reach to the tumor site. So they have the affinity toward the tumor cells actually, not with the normal cells. So if you attach the drug, then they can be used as a drug delivery vehicle. So this database is available. You can use it. Recently, we developed one of these tools actually, anti-cancer peptides. So if you are working in the anti-cancer type of thing, then you can design the peptides with the desired activity against the cancer. Similarly, I'm not going into the detail because there are too many tools are there. There is an anti-hypertensive peptides. So this is a big collection of predicting anti-hypertensive peptides. On predictions are there. Then we have the antimicrobial peptide, antifungal peptide. These are different tools we have developed. All tools are available. You can use whenever time. Okay. Just I want to give you the feeling, lot of work is already going in the field of peptide bioinformatics or protein bioinformatics, where we are using the molecules for as a therapeutic setting, as a drug. Same way we have because there's one problem, drug molecules, you have to check the half-life. Because the main problem with the peptide or protein-based drugs is the half-life of protein or peptide is less because in body, we have the large number of enzymes. These enzymes degrade it. So it's very important. You have to check the half-life of the peptide or protein. So we developed the software where you can check the half-life in the body fluids. Same way, there is a toxicity, there is a different type of toxicity, cytotoxicity. it may, your protein or peptide may kill the cells actually, maybe the cytotoxic nature actually. So this tool allow you to predict the cytotoxic peptide. So when you are designing any vaccine, you have to check it, make sure that peptide which you are going to take in the market is not toxic. If it's toxic, then it will be withdrawn from the market because then it will have the side effects. So this tool allow you to predict the toxicity of the proteins. Similarly, there is another type of toxicity that we call hemotoxicity or RBC killing cells. Because sometimes some peptide can lyse the RBC actually. So this tool help you to predict whether it will lyse the RBC or not. So that will check further another level of toxicity. So far, I talk about drug inhibitors and all sort of. Now there is another component of protein peptide that is a peptide-based diagnostics. Here, you can design the different type of biomarker. So this tool we created is to find out the different type of biomarker reported in the literature in different body fluids, maybe urine, maybe saliva, maybe other part of the body fluids. Okay. So this is available, you can use it. Peptide structure prediction, though you can ask me that even peptide, protein structure prediction method can be used for peptide, but this is not true because peptide is small, sometimes 9 amino acid, 10 amino acid, or 5 amino acid. They cannot maintain the structures like protein actually. So we design the tools which can specifically design for peptide structure and demonstrate they are better for predicting the peptide structure rather than using the protein structure prediction tool for predicting peptide structure. Okay. There is another problem actually. Most of the drugs in the market, which are based on the protein or peptide, they are chemically modified, either through the internals or their residues have been modified. Reason is basically natural protein or natural peptide, the chances is there it will degrade it quite fast. The problem here is how to predict the structure and function of the modified peptide. That's a challenge. So we did actually a method which can predict the structure of modified peptide. So that is called peptide structure mode. You can use. Okay. Another part of the biointelligence, that's a part of our responsibility. So we are doing a lot of work for our helping the scientific community. Another work is when there is a emerging new virus or new disease, can we provide some solutions? Solution in the sense helping the community, because it's not possible for any group or any individual or even any institute to design the drug or vaccine against a virus or vaccine. So you can play as a role, as a component basically. So here, what we did actually, when new virus come or new disease come, we develop the resource where you get the what is the diagnostic kits, what are the basically possible vaccine candidates, what are the possible drug targets. So earlier we developed for the Ebola, recently we developed for the this coronavirus. So if you are interested, then we have the all type of tools like a genomics. So what type of genome has been sequenced, what is the protein, from where you can receive it. Then diagnostics, it basically what type of different diagnostic tools are available in the market, how you can use it, what is the principles behind it, and what are the basically new potential primers which can serve as a diagnostic tools, RT-PCR and other. Same way for the immunotherapy, we predict the tools which you can try in the experimental. If you are experimental scientist, you can take the predictive tools and try in the real life. So it's nothing. This website provides wide range of facilities or tools to the public. That's a whole part of the business. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. That's all for today.